is when you get bombs and then you somehow get another weapon, which seems to happen quite a lot in this. But looks like we are off, and we do have the pug sprite on Siempe.
Yep, and Shadow going with the standard link. So, all right, first chest, we've got Piece of Fart. We'll get these guys synced up here very shortly, but all right, so Siempe going to the right, Shadow going to the left. Normally you see in the NMG run of this game, usually go to the left out of Link's house. It saves like a second or less, but obviously this is rando. This is a speed running race, and any time shave could be incredibly important.
Yeah, and it's funny to think about. Oh, he just saved like a frame or a quarter of a second, but that can be huge differences, especially when you're going close. And we do get that fire rod that you spoke of.
Ah, God. All right, yeah, burn me at the stake. I am a witch. Let's go.
The nice thing is they can burn these guards and get those quick magic refills if they so choose.
Yep. All right, we got 50 roops in the second chest here. Oh, Shadow missing a fire rod shot. That's not good. If that had been the bomb drop.
It would have been worth it to get those extra kills after getting those magic drops. Oh, he does get a bomb drop though. He throw in the bush.
Yeah, there we go. So Shadow at a distinct advantage now. He can pretty much avoid everything else that he comes in contact with because he's got, other than the required kills that he has to do, because he not only has a bomb, he's got 50 rupees to buy another set of bombs.
Yeah, and that's very nice. We'll see. It seems like Kakariko is loaded with money in this version, but we do get a bomb out of the chest there, so no runner's gonna have to worry about bombs at this start.
All right, so it should be a nice quick escape for both of our runners then, since they don't have to bother farming anything.
Yeah, it's always nice when you don't have to worry about the farming, and getting bomb drops, especially out of a chest early on like that, is really nice.
Yeah. So both of our runners, picking up some pots, throwing them at the guards there. It's always good to make sure that you have all 3 hearts through here, because enemies do tend to do a little bit more damage than you think they do sometimes. Siempe just says, yeah, I've already got 3 bombs. I'm not going to pick that up. We got a key and another key.
Yeah, and goes fast enough, is able to get it before the despawn, just barely. So both runners now at 4 bombs. All right, so as we go through, it looks like Siempe is going to go ahead and just use the fire rod to kill the ball and chain guard. It is just one shot. Shadow uses a pot at the start and then goes on and kills the ball and chain guard with the fire rod right after.
And just big 20 in Zelda's chest. Hashtag things in Zelda's chest.
Yes, all the things.
Oh gosh. All the things in Zelda's chest.
I mean, you never know what's going to be in there. It's random, right?
Yeah. All right, back to the action. Siempe seems to be a couple seconds ahead of Shadow. But as we like to say in Rando, there's pretty much no lead that is safe until go mode, and sometimes not even then.
Yeah, it's no lead is safe until you have crossed that fanfare.
Because Ganon hugs are the best hugs.
They really are, especially if it causes your opponent to fall or die. It's really great in that case.
Oh, Siempe was beeping there for a second, but got a heart back. So no love yet. Well, we've got a piece of heart, but no big love yet. 71 rupees for both of our runners, 4 bombs, but Shadow has managed to pick up 15 arrows, and both have the fire rods. So let us see what the rest of Escape will bring. But obviously, as you pointed out earlier, Bradley, Kakariko Village tends to be kind of loaded in this version.
Yes, it does. And it looks like Siempe did remember about the magic pot there. Not gonna necessarily need it, but it's good to know that they have that understanding where that is, just in case they do end up running into the need for that magic.
Yeah, and so you see Shadow over there having to take a hit through those ropes. Yes, they're snakes, but their name is ropes. Because he was unable to use the fire rod to burn one down, because he still needs fire rod shots to kill a particular rat here in Escape so that he can get his keys.
Yeah, and while they do have the 4 bombs, I'm sure Shadow would rather not use the bombs to kill that rat, because it can be a little hard. They're a little squirrely.
Yeah. No, it'll be ratty.
Oh, my mistake. Oh, misses the first shot, but is able to get it.
Yeah, okay. And he does get the right one. Normally, the rat that has that key is the one that's to the farthest left when the room spawns, but that's not always the case.
Yeah, it's happened to me a couple times, and it's really frustrating when you don't have an unlimited weapon damage.
All right, so we do have Fisher-Price Baby's First Sword in the back of Escape. Nice to have. But we also just got some rupees, and I forgot what the other one was.
It wasn't important. I got distracted by seeing the sword. I was like, oh, good, unlimited damage.
Yeah. The S word.
Yes.
All right, one more chest here. That would be the Sanctuary chest, another piece of fart. So we have 4 hearts now and 1 half, because we have two pieces of fart. Yes, of course, it was a heart container. Thank you, folks.
There we go. All right, so both runners out of Escape in under 6.5 minutes. That's not a bad escape. With the fire rod, you can definitely go a little quicker, but very well done for both of our runners to get out within a very respectable time.
Let's see what the pull prize is here. It is big greeners. Not what they wanted to see, but they do both pick up a big 20 from the pickle.
And yeah, that is some great RNG for both of them, getting that 20 off of the pickle there.
Yeah.
It looks like blue rupee off of the lumberjack.
Yeah. All right, so no early indication of whether or not Aghanim is required, but stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because Aghanim always could rear his ugly head, depending on the item distribution.
Yeah, that is very true. Just the other night, there was a race where ended up being Titan's Mitts were in Lumberjack Cave, and they needed the boots that were in Swamp Palace, which both runners didn't get to until after an hour. So Aghanim was killed about an hour and 12 minutes into the race. So you never know.
Yeah, the one thing you almost never want to see on Aghanim is a fetch quest item like Mushroom, because you never know.
Or like the medallion, you're just like,
yeah. Well, could be.
What does this mean?
Why you mess with my mind this way, Rando?
Seriously, though, that is definitely one of the more, and it's just always in the back of your mind until you can find out what Turtle Rock and Misery Maya requirements are. It's just like,
All right, it is time to explore the smorgasbord that tends to be Kakariko Village here. Siempe walking into Blind's hut. 5 unique items here. Let the smorgasbord begin.
Yes, the feast of Kakariko. And we start off with a bottle with a bee in it, some more bombs, even more bombs. Wow, explosive.
Dark Magician, where are you? And finally, more rupees.
So they won't have to worry about bombs anymore, so that's really nice.
Yeah. Actually, I think that was more bombs, because neither one of them have found a bomb upgrade yet. I think that was entirely more bombs than they could hold.
Yeah, they overfilled their capacity there. They had to leave a couple behind.
Their bomb bag overfloweth. Alright, it is time for the well, and in the well we have an arrow upgrade. Boo! And hook shot!
That's always nice. I love early hook shot. You can use it as a travel device, and then it just kills things, certain things, and or stuns them. It's one of my favorite items in the game.
Yeah, particularly the fact that it kills the mini Moldorms, which is very nice.
Yes, one shots them too.
Yeah. All right, and yes, we did get our Fisher Price Baby's First Shield from the Bottle Merchant. We're now in Chicken Hut, where we find bomb upgrades.
That would have been useful a little bit earlier.
Probably. We got one more item, or two more items here in Kakariko proper, because they did find a bottle. Let's see what the sick kid has. Maybe I just need to shut up.
I mean, not a whole lot in Kakariko. They get a bottle, a hookshot. They did get the Master Sword. So, I mean, really, Kakariko did not give us that smorgasbord we were looking for.
No, not at all. Interesting. So, I expect then that Mini Moldorm Cave will be relatively hype. But we got a map check here. We've got crystal number 6 at Tower of Hera, a pendant at Eastern, power gloves on the library shelf, and another crystal at Desert Palace.
That was that power glove. So boots are going to be 100% required in this seed, and nice to see both the 5 and 6 crystals in the light dungeons. That is really interesting. You don't see that too often.
No, you don't, and that could indicate that Pyramid Fairy is going to be required here. Siempe just YOLOing the race game, and yeah, he's going to go ahead and pick up that piece of heart. Shadow scouts it out earlier and decides to head on to the South Shore.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when you check it, don't check it. Like everybody has their own little theories with it, and I kind of like to, if I don't have boots, I like to just go check it, just go straight in there. If it's going to be something good, it's well worth it. If it's not, there's some wasted time. You're looking at like 15 seconds of wasted time. But with that, if you have the boots, you can go check, get the information quickly, and then get out real fast and go get to it if it is important faster.
A nice little move there by Shadow, using the hookshot glitch to get the item in the chest. Siempe does the same thing. That way they only have to make one trip inside the dam here. So nice work by both of these guys. And we have the bow, the soggy bow buried at the bottom of the little pond there. So both of our runners now, if they can do dark rooms, which I assume that they can clear out Old Eastern Palace now.
Yeah, that is a very nice bow to find. And if they do have the fire rod, so if they know how to do it, they can just fire a couple of fire rod shots straight right as they walk into that second room, which is the harder of the 2 dark rooms in Eastern Palace. They light a torch and that becomes a light room.
Yep, absolutely. It can be a little tricky, but certainly much easier that way than having to do it totally in the dark. But here we are, Mini Moldorm Cave. We find the lamp, and all of what we just said is completely moot. Piece of fart, bomb upgrade, big 20, and a bottle with a fairy.
Yeah, not a bad Mini Moldorm. That lamp, like you said, it doesn't matter what we just said. It doesn't matter at all. So yeah, definitely our runners are able to complete desert at this time. You know, we talked about Aghanim earlier, and our runners do have everything needed to go to Aghanim now as well. Yeah, and with those gloves being on the library, granted they could end up being the Titansmiths at a later time, they might need to kill Aghanim to get Dark World accesses. Oh no, Shadow takes a death from one of the crabs. Or actually, that was not a crab, but hey, he's got that fairy he just got. Now, interestingly enough, that could turn out to be important later on, depending on how the way the rest of the game goes. Say we don't find the bug net, could play out later on. Just another piece of fart
in Ice Rod Cave. Siempe noping out of there, and we'll see where he heads now. I would assume it's straight to Eastern.
Yeah, I can't imagine you not going to Eastern. You have everything you need to complete it, and it is a pendant though, so that's kind of a little but there's 6 items over in this location, so it would be silly not to come over here.
Yeah. And although our runners would have access to Death Mountain at this time, they would not have access to Tower of Hera. You need either the mirror or both the hook shot and the hammer to get there. So Death Mountain could be a good play right now, but not the best.
Well, we know where the power gloves are, but we've not been able to get them, so they actually don't have that access. Yeah. Little tricky there. We get half magic.
Yeah. This is why we have 2 commentators, boys and girls. One to keep the other one honest, and we've got the Cheeto sword already. Wow.
Well, nice quick sword upgrades. It's under 16 minutes, and we're at the 3rd sword. No more spins for Ganon, except for maybe the final phase, excuse me. We'll see.
Depending on where the silver arrows are, we may be spinning to win it. But very nice. I'm sure both of our runners are very, very happy to see the Tempered Sword this early on in the game. Should be some really quick boss kills coming our way.
Yes, indeed. That definitely helps. No Fighter Sword, no Master Sword bosses today. So that's always nice to see early Tempered.
All right, so both of our runners on into Eastern Palace. Like you mentioned, it is a pendant dungeon, but given what we have at this time, plus the early bow, you've got to be thinking that this is the right play at this time, and it really kind of hints that there is something on Armos Knights.
Yeah, and we get a map right off the start, so even more hinting at Armos Knights having something.
Absolutely. There are a few things better, though, in this game after playing the original game for like 20 years and then playing Rando and actually being able to have the boots in this dungeon, because this dungeon has such long pathways and windy twists and turns. Oh, nice rod.
Well, then. All right, so does that mean Turtle Rock's going to be pendant? Because usually when you get early Ice Rod, Turtle Rock is always a pendant, right?
Absolutely, because if Turtle Rock were required, the Ice Rod would be in a completely obscure location like, Catfish.
Yeah, or on Laser Bridge in Turtle Rock. It's just never convenient when Turtle Rock is a crystal, so we'll have to see if that holds out this time, but it almost always does.
Nice. Siempe there using the sword beams to go the quick way through that.
Yeah, very well done with that. And that is like the most optimal place to get the big key in this dungeon. The next room is the big chest. And it's just more bombs. We're getting a lot of bomb pickups.
So Siempe gonna take the chance here. This is a 50-50 because there is a 50-50 chance that Armos Knights has the final item. There are 3 items in Eastern Palace, and there are 2 item locations left. One of them will be the compass. The other one will be the unique item. So Siempe taking the chance here. Meanwhile, Shadow is going to go the long way.
All right. Yes, indeed. I do like the gamble. I mean, this could be something that ends up paying off huge. And if not, well, it's not a terrible trek back in to get it, but it is a extra time spent. We'll have to see what it is. We'll see on Shadow's side probably first whether this was a great decision, a good gamble, or a gamble that's going to have to cost some time for Siempe.
We will find out here very shortly as Siempe is right before Armos Knights. Does he get the quick kill on the Igors? Yes, he does. And he made the wrong play. Bombos Medallion is in the vanilla big key chest, so Siempe will be coming back almost certainly to get that item number 3.
Unfortunately, we'll have to make their way back, and it makes the objectively bad decision at this point. And that also to point out, like, there's not a whole lot of progression that we found. There was actually no progression possibly in Eastern Palace. We don't know if that Bombos will be required or not yet, and so we're running out of options. I think Aghanim is all but guaranteed at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple locations left. Now, remember that our runners could opt to fake flipper up to the Zora area, but they would not be able to get anything in Waterfall of Wishing. They'd be able to check what's on the ledge, and with more rupees, they could check Zora. So that is an option. Probably not going to happen. But we also have Aghanis Cave as well. I would imagine that at least one of our runners would check Aghanis Cave before Aghanim. The percentage, I believe, I could be wrong here, but the percentage of required Aghanim seeds is somewhere around like 16%. So not a high percentage play, and most people just despise going to Aga Tower anyway.
Yeah, they will do everything they can to avoid going into that tower. But this seed, I think, is telling them that you have to. I don't think there's any way to avoid it at this point. Even, is there anything out of Aghanis Cave that could possibly avoid that? And like you said, there's only one item that they can really get right now up Zora's, and they would need the money for it. They don't have any way to, even with the fake flipper, to get that.
Yeah, I'm being corrected by Jighard. He says 27%, a lot higher than I thought it would be, but still less than a third. However, if Aghanim did have the flute, that would give them Death Mountain access and access to the 8 items on East Side Death Mountain.
That would definitely open up a lot of potential. So there are a few that would possibly kill and delay, but it looks like Shadow is going straight for it. He's been seeing some of the writing on the wall, and he just wants to get it over with.
Agreed. Completely agreed. You cannot at all fault this play. This is an educated guess based on the way the seed has been unfolding. Now we'll see if Siempe decides to go the Aghanim gamble. You got Aghanim and Aghana. Sometimes it's a little difficult here.
Yeah, it's all the names. Well done, Nintendo. Well done.
Yeah.
And Siempe does not want to make that gamble yet. He's going to go check Aghanis Cave. So now we'll get to see if Shadow made the right decision.
Yeah, anytime you're watching a race, it is always the route diversions that create the drama here, because one of our players made the right choice. One of them did not. Although it is possible that both of them could have made a right choice. But come on, I'm just trying to build it here.
Yeah, no, build that drama. I like it. Spleeby Lumberjack was just 5 rupers.
So we'll see if Siempe decide. Yeah, it looks like he's going to check the item on Desert Ledge before running into Aghanim. Always good to have intel. Just 100 rupees there, so not too terribly important.
Yeah, I mean, if they needed money for Zora, they could get that, but they don't have any way to get it, so that's not even a possibility at this point.
Yeah. Now, if Zora were important, first off, the Power Gloves would be in the logic, but second, our runners could do the Houlihan room to build up. All right, moment of truth. Did Siempe make the right choice in Aghanis Cave? We have the Power Gloves! Oh my!
Oh my! Oh my! So that still doesn't, like you said, both runners may have made the right choice. We'll have to see if Aghanim is still required, because that doesn't, just the Power Gloves alone does not eliminate Aghanim.
Exactly.
Yeah, excuse me. So this could still be a good play on Shadow's end, but we now know where our Titans mitts are for Siempe. Whether that ends up being Shadow's Titans mitts or not, we'll have to find out what he finds at the end of this journey through Aghanim's tower.
Absolutely, and Siempe getting the Power Gloves is going to head straight up to Death Mountain. He can get the Old Man, he can get Spectacle Rock Cave, he can get Paradox Cave with its 7 items, as well as Spiral Cave with its 1 item. Lots of possibility coming up here for Siempe.
Oh yeah, all sorts of possibilities for him, and the chances of Aghanim being required at this point definitely took a big hit. And so we'll have to see if on Siempe's side what is available on the mountain.
Chat bringing up a good point. What if the Moon Pearl is on the pyramid, which it absolutely can be?
Yeah, and that would make Aghanim required for Siempe regardless of what he finds up here. Well, yeah, no, it would.
And so the old man gives the cape. Man, that kind of makes you think that maybe Aghanim is the right call.
Even more pointing towards it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to find out here in just a moment as Shadow goes through the phases. You got to get 6 deflections of those balls, hoping no blue balls coming at you. But, of course, as I say that, we get one.
Of course. Because that happens.
Of course.
Because many times the game and the commentators live, or the game and the runners live to make liars out of the commentators.
Yes, indeed. Or is it the commentators live to curse the runners? I don't know.
Well, there's that, too. We got the flute in Death Mountain, so there's another. It's not really progression yet, but it is certainly a help. A flute will only be required if Misery Mire is a required dungeon, but the flute is a huge help in traversing the world quickly.
Yes, indeed. All right, Shadow has killed Aghanim. Oh, no! Siempe just got the Moon Pearl, so moment of truth destroyed.
But wait a minute, what is on the... Oh, it's the shovel on the pyramid. Oh, no.
Oh, man. That is rough. Which, in Shadow's eyes, that could be leading him to the Moon Pearl or something for progression. That's brutal.
But note, though, that as of yet, Siempe, I don't believe, has Dark World access.
Oh, you're right. If he gets boots or hammer, then he'll have Dark World access.
Or the hammer.
Yeah, and if the hammer's behind the shovel, Aghanim is still required. All right.
This is really intriguing the way this particular seed is starting out here, because we are still in a position where both of our runners could have made great decisions and kind of evens out for them. So what is on Flute? What is in Spike Cave?
Oh, just 20 rupees behind the shovel. So at this point, Aghanim was not required. There is still the possibility that Pod holds both the flippers and hammer, which would make Aghanim required in that situation.
That is very true. But let's go see. So here we are, Siempe. This is his last. Well, no, it's his second to last possibility on Death Mountain. In Spiral Cave, we have the Bloomerang. There is one more possible item there on Death Mountain. It is the item in Spectacle Rock Cave, and that is exactly what Siempe is going to be checking out here after he gets his old man kisses.
Oh man! All right. So at this point, there's so much intrigue. Like you said, it's really interesting how this seed is shaping out, because we still have no idea if either runner made the better decision. Like, it's really hard to say who made the right or wrong. But at this point, it feels like Siempe because he's gotten more out of it. But maybe Shadow, you do have to kill Aghanim, and then at that point, that gives Shadow a nice little thing he doesn't have to worry about anymore.
Yeah, and depending on what Siempe finds here, I mean, he still may have... Aghanim may be required for Dark World access. Let's see. It's 50 rupees. I think Aghanim is required at this point. I think our runners have hit everything.
Yeah, I think you're right. So Aghanim is required, even though it's because you need it for Dark World access. Wow.
Yeah, so Shadow did make the... well, Zora could be required. There's always that. Sorry, we mentioned it earlier and then promptly forgot about it. But yes, Zora could be the other required option here. But you never know.
Yeah, that is very true. And to answer Overlord, no, you cannot do Spike Cave. You need the hammer to be able to knock down one of the little, I don't even know what they're called, the buttons. And so that is not a possibility. So Siempe is making the decision to go to Aghanim's tower. I really can't blame him, because they don't have enough money to do Zora, and that's the only item you can check at this point without fake flippering, which he now can because of that Moon Pearl.
Yep. But that would not be within the randomizer's logic, so...
Correct. All right, so both runners now flipping on what the other runner just did. So where do you think the next progression is going to be? It's clearly got to be on the east side of Death Mountain, where whether it be, well, they do have the hookshot, they can get back across.
Exactly, yeah, because they can walk all the way to Village of Outcasts by hookshotting over the river, so almost literally right now, progression could be anywhere. It could be in pod, as you mentioned earlier, given that our runners can complete pod at this point, except for Helmasaur King. They can get to everything in pod except Helmasaur King if they know how to hammer yump.
Yes, indeed. It's
Or
definitely
even without hammer yump.
Yeah, it's just a very long trek to go all the way right, and then either death warp or walk back around. Which, with as few hearts as they have, and green now wouldn't be too terrible at this point.
Yeah, as chat points out, yeah, it could be progression at Catfish as well. There we go.
Yeah, words. They're hard.
Yeah. Alright, so Shadow does not find anything. Oh, that's right, he hasn't gone east Death Mountain yet, so.
Shadow he was a little bit more efficient on his Death Mountain traversing. He went up to Spectacle Rock, got that check out of the way first, and jumped down before heading east. It was slightly more efficient because you don't have to climb the mountain after saving quitting. Not too much time saved, but just, again, those seconds.
Siempe did have the advantage as well of, and it's about to pan out here because remember Siempe did Death Mountain first, which means as soon as he completes Aghanim's tower, he'll be in the Dark World with the Moon Pearl.
Correct, that is true. So he'll be able to he'll be able to go straight into the next phase of this seed. So it's little advantages each runner having over the other as they go throughout different things.
Now, to be fair, though, defeating Aghanim does create a Dark World portal in the main entrance to Hyrule Castle, so Shadow will not have that much time lost by taking that portal back to the Dark World.
That is a very good point, and it really, for how much pain it is to kill Aghanim, it is a very convenient portal to have when you're forced into it.
Indeed. Right, so one nice thing about the randomizer is that the number of blue balls that Aghanim fires are randomized, but they are randomized per seed. So Siempe will have the same number of blue balls, I believe it was 2, that Shadow did.
Yeah, I believe so. That sounds about right. Did not count entirely. I was more intrigued by what Siempe was doing on Death Mountain and what he was finding than counting in the blue balls at the time.
Exactly. Shadow, on a single heart here, Mini Moldorm up here could end his time here on Death Mountain very abruptly. As you see, he's being very patient.
Yeah, it did not want to die there. That would be very painful death, especially where he'd have to go back, and that would be a lot of time spent. All right, so as Shadow finishes off Death Mountain, Siempe finishes off Aghanim's tower, and we're going to be right on track with both runners being pretty much at the same place again.
Or not. Not certain where Shadow is headed. Oh, Shadow's headed off to activate his flute. Okay. Green pendant at Ice Palace, red pendant at Palace of Darkness, and all of the other Dark World dungeons are required. So the seed was actually a little bit nice to us, finding that ice rod early.
Yeah, so it is not a pendant in Turtle Rock. We are wrong yet again. The game making us liars.
Indeed. And of course, the Ice Rod has the potential to be in the most number of places in the game. So if it is required, it could be literally everywhere except on Trinex itself or Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, and so luckily for both runners, they do not have to go through the pain of looking for it. So, and also, as somebody just pointed out in chat, Pod, of course, is a pendant in this situation where it's the first dungeon you can access right out of the Dark World. Of course it's pendant.
Yeah. So, question, Bradley, what do you think about Siempe's choice not to even dip into pod?
You know, I would have done it, but I've been burned by not making those types of decisions, and I feel like there's always one pendant dungeon in every seed that has items, that is loaded with things. And in this case, it could be either ice or ice or pod, because we've already seen what Eastern had, and it was really nothing. That Bombos is still up in the air.
Yeah, so Siempe opting not to head to Skull Woods, even though it is a crystal dungeon, got to think that his rationale is the fact that he only has green mail and 5 hearts. That is not okay. 6 hearts. That is not. That is still not a fun dungeon to do with that little life.
Yeah, it is definitely a risky dungeon to do that. Take a lot of hits. They do have Tempered Sword and have magic, so the fight itself wouldn't be terrible for the Moth, but it is risky if you're not comfortable. Ooh, and there is the mirror in the bombable hut.
All right, so definitely now with the combination of the flute and the mirror, traversing the world, both light and dark, just got significantly easier.
Yes, indeed. And Siempe's decision not to activate his flute right away will actually now benefit him, because he'll be able to just mirror, activate it, and then he can go right back into the dark world if he so chooses, or flute away. So slightly, luckily, more efficiently for Siempe in this situation.
Hey, as my father used to always say, I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
Oh yeah. Luck is anybody that says luck isn't involved in anything you do is a liar.
That's right. All right, first chest in Thieves Town is just a measly compass. And we do have another fetch quest, as remember we did pick up the mushroom over here in Village of Outcasts. There's another B-Torp. So that's it's one item out of the 4 here in Thieves Town.
Yeah, that is 3 bottles. 2 have been bees and 1 was a fairy. So not an interesting bottle distribution so far for our runners, as Shadow is about to pick up their mirror and Siempe gets the required big key. Of course, final chest in Thieves Town Upper is just a small key.
All right, so let's see what choice Shadow makes here. You know, at this point, so to get all of the items in Thieves Town, you have to have the hammer. However, in this version of the logic, it is possible that the second small key, the one, or this technically the third, I think. Anyway, one of the small keys can be locked inside the big chest, meaning that you can get all of the items without going to the big chest itself, which means it's about a 50-50 on whether or not a item will be in the big chest. So going into Thieves Town early could pay off, but I'm not certain that it will here, because, well, I'm a lawyer because I can't do math and I can't remember how many keys are in Thieves Town.
I believe we've already gotten that small key on our side, because there's only one, if I'm not mistaken, that comes out of the chest. The rest are found in pots and in the odd locations. So,
yeah, Siempe also has to be careful here. These grasshoppers of doom do two hearts of damage with the green mail, and even though he just picked up a heart, he's still got to be careful.
But he gets the clutch fairy and gets the full heart. That is definitely gonna help him breathe easier now, because you do not want to die. That is the absolute worst place to die if you do not get that hole blown up.
That is very true. Now remember that Siempe does still have the fairy. Shadow does not, and you know, if there is a bad blind fight, that fairy could come in handy here. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, how that one fairy could come into play, because Shadow lost it earlier taking a death on the overworld.
Yeah, that is a very good point. I don't see, we'll have to see if our runners realize they have the cape and they can use that to make blind that much easier. And with half magic, hopefully neither of our runners makes the mistake of not taking that safety if necessary. I think Siempe would rather save that for a boss, maybe like Mothula, with the gear that they have. But yeah, that cape can definitely make the blind fight significantly easier, and where you can just avoid taking damage at all. And we get the fire shield from the maiden's chest right before heading into the fight, where it's the most useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that means that is 3 items here in Thieves Town. We got a piece of heart. We got the red shield, and there was one more item in the beginning. So that's 3 of the 4. So let's see what blind drops. If a race or 2 has been won by whether or not there was an item in Thieves Town. Big chest. Shadow taking another death from the grasshoppers of doom up on the top floor there.
And he does, luckily, is able to blow the hole in the floor, so he doesn't have to go back up there. Just have to go hit the switch and go back. Siempe getting close to death, pulls out the cape, makes the boss fight that much easier, and gets the kill for just the map. So an item is going to be left in Thieves Town.
Yeah, so this could be a huge thing later on in the seed. If there is a progression item in that chest somehow, then that could be a difference maker in the game.
Yes, indeed. And Shadow getting destroyed by those. I don't even know what they are. They're kind of like fake anti-fairies. I don't even know. Just got bodied by them. And Shadow's had enough of Thieves Town, which, luckily for him, is not going to hurt him at this point. He won't be getting the shield, but at this point, the tilt is real. You got to just get out and take a breather and go back later.
Yeah, sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. As Siempe here heading over to Alec Baldwin's digging game. Anywhere between 1 and 30 digs will be required.
Well, not too many today, as we get the ether. So there's 2 of our medallions, and we are 66% from not even needing to have a medallion. So we're close to having both the medallions we need.
So we got a 66% chance of having the medallion required for either Misery Mire or Turtle Rock, and that's 66.6 repeating, of course.
Of course.
I'm digging deep on that one. Okay.
Oh, man. Leroy Jenkins.
That's right.
One of the best things in the world.
Absolutely. All right, so Shadow going to hit old Stumpy and is going to get the wrong Kane.
Oh, so excited! Alas, not this time. Not this time. All right, Siempe taking advantage of having that mirror to dig open the shovel spot for the 20 rupees. Doesn't pick them up, though. At this point, might not have been a bad idea because they're getting close to that, needing that Zora money, and Zora could have progression for us. We don't know.
Well, we will see, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to find out. Will the cave, formerly known as Hype Cave, live up to its reputation here? Because there is a good possibility that Hype Cave will be hype.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of major progression at this point, so this could very well be, pretty hype.
Yeah, and remember, now that we have the mirror and we have beaten Aghanim, Pyramid Fairy's accessible right now.
That is true. Well, we got
butter.
Oh my gosh.
And that's about it for Hype Cave. But butter is nice.
Yeah, that definitely is. Wow. So one boss on tempered sword. Everything else will be butter sword for our runners. That is definitely a very nice seed in that respect. And as you pointed out, there we have Siempe did do the save and quit, and because of that, Mire is put onto the pyramid, but you're able to mirror out and do what he needs. Has still not activated his flute, so that's kind of interesting. At least I don't remember seeing him ever activate it.
I don't recall it either. I'm not certain where Shadow is going unless he's going to fake Flipper here.
He has the mirror out. I think that's what he's doing. He got that 300 rupees out of Hype Cave. And with the Moon Pearl, he's probably thinking, all right, I'm going to go do all my Zora check. There still won't be able to get the Zora ledge item, but he can get the other 3.
Yeah, now, I would be interested to see what is on Pyramid Fairy, because they had access to Pyramid Fairy so early. Well, wait a minute, they'd have to complete both dungeons first, but I stand corrected.
Yeah, and they just barely got access to one of those dungeons. Yeah. And until they get boots or the book, they will not have access to the other, which, going back to, it's nice to see both of those super early in the Light World dungeons. There's 2 of the dungeons we've not had access to for a long time. So, that was an interesting aspect of that.
So Siempe heading up to Tower of Hera, Shadow finding not much in Waterfall of Wishing, but it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to visit the purveyor extraordinaire of life lessons. Yes, King Zora himself. Make raises, but we have das Boot in Tower of Hera.
Oh, that is a nice pickup. So there is our access to Titan's Mitts, Tower Hera holding out for us, which also opens up a lot of locations now.
Yes, it does. And today, the purveyor extraordinaire of life lessons delivers... Ooh. How do you like that 10% interest, boys and girls?
Oh, man. Of course. Of course. All right, well, the good thing, Shadow does know that he will not need the flippers to go back up to Zora, as it was just 10 arrows on the ledge.
Siempe taking the coffee break here in Tower of Hera. Good coffee break. Okay. So
meanwhile, Shadow is gonna go and turn in that mushroom, so we'll get to see what our other fetch quest is.
So I heard you like fetch quests.
Oh yes, I actually really do. They're a lot of fun.
Alright, so just triple booms for the drug deal in this game. Doesn't turn out into Shadow's favor, but he does pick up a nice, pretty blue potion.
Nice little double use there of that, and then it looks like he's going to go use the portal through Aghanim's tower, and maybe we're going to see the catfish and pod play now.
Interesting that he is not going to Tower of Hera simply because it is a crystal dungeon that is accessible and completable at this time. However, this play may turn out to be a difference maker here, because remember, we are still missing a whole lot of items for go mode in this seed.
Yes, indeed. We will need the flippers for Swamp Palace. Looks like Shadow is not going to go to Catfish. He's taking the north route again. He's going to go back over to... I thought he already did Graveyard Ledge.
I am uncertain.
No, he did not, because he didn't have Mirror the first time through here. So he's going to go do that check. Looks like, and then maybe head into Skull Woods. It'll be interesting to see what his decision is from here.
Because he does not have the boots at this point, he cannot access King's Tomb. Looks like he's a little confused on the path here to make it to the Graveyard Ledge, but it looks like he just got it figured out.
It took him a couple seconds.
Yeah. Siempe has completed his second crystal, Tower of Hera, and now nice little warp there, knowing that the mirror will warp you from the front to the back of Sanctuary, so you don't have to run down there, but with the boots, I think it's probably just about even when you consider the menu time. But Siempe is heading out. Looks like he's probably going to finally activate his flute.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, that is a very sneaky, a lot of people don't realize you can just mirror out of there. And without boots, it is definitely quicker. So yeah, very, very well done.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the Hyrulean National Anthem. You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now, interestingly enough, I think Siempe skipped Bonk Rocks.
He did. I was about to point that out, and then we just kind of got going further beyond. And yeah, he just flew on right by. His mind was set on activating that flute and getting his Titan's mitts. So, not a terrible thing, but it might be a while till he checks those. And if it's something important, that could be pretty major.
All right. He may, he may route in a check of both Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb together now that he has the ability to do that. But if he also may do a North Dark World route where he can also route in Graveyard Ledge.
That is a good point as well. And he's definitely going to go into the Kakariko, the Kakariko portal using those newly acquired Titan's mitts, the quick way into this portion of the Dark World.
Yep. So it looks like probably both of our runners will be in Skullwoods at the same time. Siempe will have, not that he'll necessarily have an advantage, but because both of our runners have the Butter Sword, and boots don't help too much in Skullwoods.
No, just a little bit. The only advantage or difference really is the fairy for Siempe and the blue potion for Shadow.
Yep. But the runner's still though stuck with that green mail, which in the Dark World, well, they do a lot more damage in the Dark World. Siempe also finding the 50 rupees in the chest there. Remember, Skullwoods only has 2 unique items. That's one of them right there. So the chances of progression here in Skullwoods are now down to, well, 50-50.
Yeah, very, very small. Could always be a very important item. But at this point, something else to point out, we no longer need the book for our access to Desert Palace. It is open. With Siempe having done Tower of Hera, that could be a play that he makes to go get the Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah.
Finally, as we've been talking about it for 52 minutes.
Indeed. Yeah, I think we've hyped it up too much, Bradley. I think we're.
I know.
I think we're almost doomed to have Pyramid Fairy be nothing by this time.
I know. We made it too much, and it's just gonna be nothing. It's commentator's curse, right?
Indeed. All right, so Shadow making it out, and like you pointed out earlier, he will have Cape and the half magic, which should make for a relatively academic Mothula fight, but we'll see what he gets magic-wise. Is the Gibdos do have a very good chance to drop magic pots. It's possible he gets a full refill from them, or he could get a full refill there from the Bari. But
that works.
That's not the right place you want it, because you want the refill after you've lit all the torches in the next room. And Shadow fallen down a lot in this room.
This room can be very hard to navigate without falling if you're not used to cutting corners. It's something you got to be really careful about, and he's got to be careful with that health. Would not want to use that blue potion right now. That would be a very inopportune moment to use it.
Oh, wow, and sneaks right past the Gibdos. Very nice by Shadow, but then he takes a death. Oh, man.
That is painful. That green mail kind of coming into play there. Took a few hits from Gibdos after getting some hearts. And Siempe also running low on health running through here, but he's making sure he kills the Gibdos before moving on.
Yeah, it wastes some time, but it doesn't waste nearly as much time as dying does. And Siempe kind of doing the smart stuff here and using the lamp to light the torches rather than the fire rod, saving himself a significant amount of magic and keeping it in reserve for the Mothula fight.
Yeah, very smart thinking about that use of the lamp. Shadow, though, even with that half magic is just kind of blazing through, he took care of the Gibdos that time, does not want to take another death in the dungeon.
Yeah, Siempe there also with the sick dodges while he was in bunny form, couldn't afford to take a hit. And Siempe's going to go in here with the cape and full magic to fight Mothula here. He's selecting the fire rod, but that butter sword will kill Mothula in 4 hits. There's one. And no, he takes a death. Oh.
Thank goodness for the fairy. Siempe using that fairy in the best time to use it, but Shadow he got a little bit too crazy there and took a death at Mothula. Oh man, this has been a rough go for Shadow so far.
Indeed it has. That's like death number 4. But speaking of that, Siempe is in trouble too, and I don't think he's going to survive a second.
Oh man, the Mothula striking again. That green mail, you don't realize, if you don't fight Mothula with green mail too often, you don't realize just how much damage you take from those beams and from those spikes. It can go, your health can disappear really fast.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, they both have the cape, but neither one of them seem to want to use it. And second, it's actually better if you have the green mail. If you know you're about to take a hit, you want to take it from the spikes, because the spikes only do 1 damage. Oh no, Shadow taking another death. Siempe is noping out of Skull Woods.
Yeah, he went and checked the other chest in the back half. It was the big key, so he's going to go and open the big chest, is my guess, and see if it's an item and whether he has to come back to Skull Woods later. Neither runner is comfortable fighting Mothula with their current equipment with that green mail. They're not comfortable, it looks like.
Yeah, and they are going to have to come back. Skull Woods is a crystal, so there is no skipping Skull Woods.
Yeah,
Shadow refuses. I'm sorry, but Shadow refusing to be deterred. He is getting back up on the horse and riding again.
Yeah, and again, this would be a perfect time to pull out that cape, as we just get a green goo from the big chest. So both items have been found and not progression. So the good thing for Siempe is he knows he can just leave here until he needs to kill the moth. But it's, having been in the area, it is definitely a time waste having to come back. But Shadow having a much better Mothula fight that time and gets the kill.
Dead moth. So both of our runners now with 2 crystals. Can't really say who's necessarily in the lead right now, particularly because Siempe has decided to nope out. Now he may be buying he may just buy potions and go straight back, but see where Siempe goes after this.
Yeah, that might very well be the case. Definitely getting the potions. Whether he goes straight back for the moth or not is yet to be determined. He knows that he's not going to get any additional items for killing it besides the crystal. So at this point, there's really no reason to go back there until you're in go mode. So I don't anticipate seeing him head that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I made a mistake. I forgot Shadow did nope out of Thieves Town, so he does not have 2 crystals. So
yes, indeed. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to head back in there, because he's not gotten all of the items out of there yet. He will get his green goo shortly from the big chest here in Skull Woods, as Siempe is now doing the checks that the boots opened up, getting just a big 20 out of King's Tomb.
So the progression is being a little elusive here. Siempe, got to be careful here. He's now down to 1 heart again. Those ghosts do hit pretty hard.
Yes, again, that green mail is really causing our runners some troubles right now.
Alright, so Siempe goes into Bonk Rocks, and in Bonk Rocks he finds the single arrow of dreams.
All right, now we can finish the game.
All right, so at this point, you're Siempe and Shadow. Where do you go, Bradley?
Well, I mean, Siempe, he's got Titan's, he's got Flute, he's got Mire. Go check Mire, go do Desert. You have full access to complete it. I think that's really the best play for Siempe at this point. Shadow needs to go up Death Mountain and go to Tower of Hera to get those boots to continue his progression. I think that's really what the kind of the path, the logic that the seed wants.
I concur with Siempe is going back up to Death Mountain.
He's gonna go check Dark Death Mountain now that he's got those Titans mitts. As Shadow is heading back into Thieves Town, he's gonna go get revenge on the dungeon.
Yes, indeed, and having purchased a bunch of potions here, he's going to be just fine. Siempe going to hit up, like you said, Dark World Death Mountain. Inside, we will find Super Bunny Cave with 2 unique items. He'll also have access to the Hookshot Cave with 4 unique items, and I don't know that I recall if whether or not our runners checked the item on the floating island, but that item is also now accessible.
I do remember seeing, I think it was Shadow, did look at what it was. I cannot recall exactly what it was. I know it wasn't anything important, as, you know, I don't remember what it was because it threw it out of my mind right away.
Exactly. Clearly it was not important, else it would have stuck with us.
Yeah, clearly. And the other thing that we will get is intel on Turtle Rock Medallion. So we'll find out if we have one of the medallions that are required for that.
And just some ammo upgrades in Super Bunny Cave. So not much doing there. Shadow gonna head down to the depths and pick up Blind, bring Blind back to the boss room, and hopefully take care of it.
Yeah, again, he's got that cape, but now that with the half magic, he should be able to take care of Blind fairly easily, as Bombos is the requirement for Turtle Rock. So far we are good to go on. Good to go on Turtle Rock or Misery Mire.
All right, just a piece of fart on the floating island, so neither one of our runners likely to go pick that up.
Yeah, we'll see. With some of the struggles they've had with the deaths, they might be feeling a little bit more health would be beneficial. But we are into Hookshot Cave.
Yeah. And yeah, even though we know what Turtle Rock is, we can't get into... Well, now we can get into Turtle Rock because... Stop! Hammer time. We have found the hammer in Hookshot Cave.
Well, we can get into it, but we're not going to get very far.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I was stopped in mid-sentence by the hammer because I was going to say, well, they don't have the hammer or the Cane of Samaria, but yeah, we do have the hammer.
The game loves to do that to us.
Yeah. The excitement over the hammer. I just couldn't contain myself anymore.
Yeah, it got exciting. All right, so Shadow getting his revenge on the dungeon. However, there is still the item remaining in the big chest. We don't know what it is. It could be a lot of different things, but Siempe is going to be doing the Spike Cave. We'll see if this is anything important.
Siempe making it through Spike Cave. Now both of our runners have 2 crystals. And we've got the Quack Medallion in Spike Cave, so once we figure out what Mire is, we'll figure out whether or not Spike Cave was required.
Yes, indeed, but Siempe will not need to worry about what medallion is there, as he has all 3. So that is, one nice thing about getting all 3 is you don't have to worry about it. As soon as you have the access to go into the dungeon and clear it out, you can just go there and not have to worry about it. At this point, though, we're still missing that elusive cane.
We are, indeed. So Shadow is going to head up, probably do Tower of Hera here, then I imagine after Tower of Hera going to head over to Dark World Death Mountain. Siempe doing what we thought it would do. It is Mire check time. Don't know if I would necessarily go into Mire yet, but he gets the intel. It's Bombos. So Bombos was required for both Mire and Troc, but probably got to check the shack here, check Checkerboard Cave, and then clear out Desert Palace.
Yes, indeed. All right, so Shadow heading into tower area. He's going to get his boots soon, which will eventually lead to those Titans on library. But that's a little ways away. So the check Siempe is doing, just getting nothing out of the shed area. Going to see what's in the graveyard, or excuse me, in checkerboard. Probably head into Desert Palace right after this, though.
And Piece of Fart in Checkerboard Cave Siempe thinks about it, and then just like we were saying, says, having this green mail right now really stinks.
And only, what is that, 9 hearts? Like, there, it's not a healthy seed.
Yes, and as the chat is talking about right now, yes, indeed, the elusive Cane of Samaria could absolutely be on the pedestal, depending on the Ice Palace logic. So the dream is still alive.
Yes, it is. And I believe, now that we bring that up, that and flippers are our last 2 items required to finish this seed.
And the flippers cannot be on the pedestal because Ice Palace is a pendant. So that is pretty much it for required pedestal at this time, is that the Cane of Samaria.
Yes, that is it. And it'll be interesting to see. So flippers will need to be found before Cane for that to become even more of a possibility. So at this point, though, we've not found them. As we get the big key on the right side for Siempe, he's going to head up to get this item, and with that mirror, be able to bounce right back to the beginning.
Yeah, always nice to have the mirror in this particular dungeon. Nope. And right back out. So it is Lanmala's time for Siempe Shadow, making his way up the Tower of Hera to take out the ever-loving Moldorm, a.k.a. Trolldorm.
Oh, yeah. And at the same time, Siempe is heading to the back to kill those Lamalas. And interestingly enough, he decides to make the 50-50 gamble again. This time, though, is much more of an efficient choice, where he's a location he's at, he can go kill Lamalas. And if he has to go back to the big chest in Desert Palace, it's not that far out of the way.
Yeah. We'll see whether this pays off. His last 50-50 did not pay off. Let's see how this one works. If Lanmala's drop an item, then it worked, but not nearly as much of a time save as the last 50-50 could have been.
That is correct. All right, so he's pulling out bombs, I guess. Misclick on the item. I do that so often.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, even with the half magic here, he'll be able to pick up 1 small magic pot here. Fire Rod is a great weapon for Lanmalas, but he's not going to have enough to use the Fire Rod. However, the Butter Sword takes the same number of shots. 2 hits from either the Butter Sword or the Fire Rod will take out each Lanmala here.
Yeah, having the Butter Sword really makes all these boss fights so much easier. You don't have to worry about having specific strategies to make it as quick as possible, as we get the Riot Shield off of Lanmalas. So his choice in this one was the more efficient route.
Yep. It's very nice. Mirror Shield, it does a couple really nice things. It can block the eye spaghetti on Laser Bridge, right, making Laser Bridge trivial to cross. And also, it will block the Garaya's, aka the Mimic's fireballs, and the Lionel's fireballs as well as the Wizrobe's magic. All of that very convenient, but so niche and not terribly common that most runners don't really care about the shield. But in a case like this, I'll take it.
Yeah, you're going to be able to get the most value out of it having got it so early. It's really, its most uses on Laser Bridge. Other than that, it's just a gigantic shield.
It does look kind of cool, though. So Siempe feeling a little bit more comfortable now. Time to go kill the moth.
He's got stocked up on potions as well. Definitely probably going to see him use that. I'd love to see one of them use the cape. They have the half magic. It would, with Butter Sword, would make this fight so trivial, but may not realize that that's a possibility, because you rarely have that as a possibility going in.
Very true. So Shadow about to be terribly disappointed in what he finds in King's Tomb, but that's okay. So Shadow's going to need to soon here head over to Eastern Palace as well. Interesting choice by Siempe not dipping into Mire, but obviously at this point there are a lot of locations to try before Mire, and since Canis Samaria absolutely required for Misery Mire, going in without it generally not a good idea, although you do have the ultimate troll, which is an item being in its vanilla location.
Yeah, and that is definitely a possibility for Canis Samaria. So we'll have to see what if either of our runners decide to make that gamble. Shadow is making his way into the Mire for the first time, and having that Bombos can make that gamble. We'll have to see if he decides to do that.
Well, we are about an hour and 10 minutes into the seed, both of our runners traversing over territory that the other one has completed. We'd like to take this opportunity to remind you folks, hey, if you're enjoying what you're seeing here today, and I know you are, why don't you consider giving these runners a follow here on Twitch? They are putting in work for your enjoyment, and if you are like Bradley and myself and can't get enough Link to the Past randomizer action, stay tuned to the Speed Gaming family of channels, Speed Gaming 1 through 6, as well as a Link to the Past randomizer 1 through 4 for all of your 2018 Spring Legend of Zelda Link to the Past randomizer tournament action. We have literally hundreds more matches coming your way throughout this tournament, and we'd love to have you with us as Siempe takes out the Moth, gets his revenge,
and the crystal. So now Siempe, one thing to point out, has finally gotten that sixth crystal kill. Will he do that before doing anything else, or does he do checks and maybe bring in the dwarves into it as well?
We shall see. He's gonna nope on out of here. And where is he fluting to?
Maybe just did not feel like traversing any of Skull Woods. He just wanted to go the safest way possible back to the beginning. It might even be slightly quicker. With the boots especially, I think he can traverse the ground a little bit faster this way.
All right, we'll see where Siempe heads. He's got a lot of choices here. As you mentioned, he can go pick up Jeremiah the Bullfrog and do the lunchbox here very quickly. As we talked about earlier, the combination of mirror and flute being very powerful when it comes to traversing the world.
Yes, indeed. And he has the hammer, so he'll be able to do the hammer pegs as well. Has turned in the mushroom, so we'll not... Well, we don't have the Canis Mars, so can't see a fake powder anyways.
Right.
You know, this is definitely one of my favorite sounds in the game, is when you hammer dash those pegs. It's so satisfying. I love it.
It really is. But probably the most satisfying room in the game, though, is the 2 Stalfos, 1 bomb room in Ice Palace.
Oh yes, getting that in one go is definitely super satisfying. I would submit also getting the 4 Wizrobes in the Gauntlet. Getting those in one cycle is also satisfying.
Yeah. All right, so Jeremiah was a bullfrog, was a good friend of mine, was also a dwarven smith of some significant renown, and let us see what reward he has for us today. It is Big 20.
Well, he gave some of the payment for the saving. I was just thinking about this. So Link has a bunny sprite, right? So his bunny sprite is a frog. He doesn't have the moon pearl, so of course he can't get himself out of that rock. That's why he's stuck behind the rock, let alone not having the mitts. He can't use anything. He can't interact with anything in the dark world.
That is a fair point. All right, so it is time to take the lunchbox to Gary. Is this going to be our progression, boys and girls, or is it time to start dipping into Pendant Dungeons? It may be time to start dipping independent dungeons. I'm trying to think of a location that our runners have not completed right now on the overworld that is available to them other than Catfish.
I believe Shadow went to Catfish, did he not? It was just a capacity upgrade.
Shows how much attention I am paying here.
I do believe he went up there. It might have been Siempe. One of them did, and I believe there was nothing up there. I feel Pod being that pendant again. A pendant dungeon's going to hold out. Pod, while it can only have 2 items that would keep progression, they are holding our runners back. Pod is the play, but Siempe is going to do the fairy check first.
You can get into Ice Palace right now, but as is being discussed in the chat right now, you would have to fake Flipper there, and that is clearly not in the logic.
Yeah, and being pendant, that is absolutely something you do not want to do. Do not want to break logic for a pendant in that situation. And Siempe, not realizing that he has Mire and the Aghanim kill for the quick return of the big bomb. A little slight time waste here, but it's not terrible.
Muscle memory is a heck of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, how often, again, do you actually get to use that, get the kill on Aghanim, and have Mire at the same time to be able to make that the quick use? Again, not very often.
All right, Pyramid Fairy is Big Love and Red Meringue. And, let's see what the fairy fills up our bottles with today. Siempe, doing something that we don't normally see people do, and the fill item is just a B-Torp.
I mean, are we surprised that it's filled with a B-Torp? I mean, we've already gotten 2 bottles filled with Bs in the scene. I'm really not surprised it's a B.
Not at all.
And, we are getting all the red items, just not the right one.
That's right. There's one red item that we're looking out for. It's interesting. So this would be very telling here. So if you find the flippers in Pod, do you nope out or do you keep going? I think you keep going at this point.
Yeah, I think I agree. If you even just because you find the flippers, it opens up another pendant dungeon. You don't nope out of a pendant to go to another pendant. If it was
right,
maybe going into a crystal, I could see it, but it would be, I think, a very bad decision to nope out of a pendant because you found something that opened up another pendant.
Well, everyone's favorite extortionist, Kiki the Monkey, has opened up Palace of Darkness for Siempe, so let us see where we go from here. And also, chat, keeping us honest here, and we very much appreciate that, keeping us honest respectfully, is that flippers do open up Swamp Palace, which is a crystal, but I still think if you find flippers in here, you finish it.
Yeah, it'd be more understandable to nope out to go to Swamp, but yeah, my bad.
It's all right. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, I try, but I'm definitely not. All right, so Siempe is heading into the right side of Palace of Darkness. Meanwhile, Shadow picks up their unnecessary Quake Medallion, and we'll see where they decide to go next.
I guess Siempe was testing the strength of that wall by shooting an arrow into it first. But, okay.
Maybe if he had silvers, it would have worked.
So we are holding out hope here for either the flippers or the big red cane, but we're really hoping for the big red cane because that would be go mode. There's the flippers! Oh my gosh! And Siempe is going to nope out of there. Gotta think he's heading straight to Swamp Palace.
Yeah, I cannot imagine any other decision besides that one. Is gotta be the choice. And indeed, it flutes to 7. So, as we discussed, it's a gamble. This could be very well the right decision, or maybe, you know, this could still be a pedestal seed and going back into pod would be required.
This is key. I mean, I won my last tournament race by noping out of a dungeon after noping out of a pendant dungeon after I found progression. So, and my opponent completed the dungeon, and that was really my opponent was ahead of me at the time, and that was the difference between victory and defeat. Let's see if that is the same here. Although these runners are a little bit farther apart at this point, and.
Yes, indeed. Shadow is following just behind Siempe's footsteps by a few minutes. We'll have to see if he's able to make up any ground, and, you know, maybe he decides to stay in pod, and that's where Kane is, and that brings him right back into this race. Or it's on pedestal, and he does one trip into Palace of Darkness. So, well, it's interesting.
All right, it is Swamp Palace time. 6 unique items in Swamp Palace, more than any other dungeon, unless you count Mimic Cave as Turtle Rock, which you kind of should, but still, 6 unique items here. Good possibility of finding the big red cane.
Yeah, that is true. Now, question, you're only looking for one item. Do you go left side at all, or do you hope that you can find it going straight to the back?
It depends. Have I found Big Key already? And how many items have I found? Like, as you notice there, Siempe just found the compass in the first chest. I probably do left side. I know that it's a gamble that a lot of people like to take, but I have seen so many things be in left side Swamp Palace that I don't know that I would risk it.
Yeah, it's tough, and it is a time waste to have to go there if there's nothing over there, but then it wastes time to have to go back through there if you don't through it. So it's one of those, there's no right way to do it. There's people that live and die by one decision, and they do it no matter what. So it's just one of those things that nobody can agree on what's better.
Yeah. So Shadow, forgetting that if you hop off of a ledge with the big bomb will stay on the ledge. So you've got to take it a little slowly when you got the big bomb, but that's okay. They're only 100 rupees, so Shadow can buy another one.
And Shadow does remember the quick portal access here, so we'll be able to save a little bit of time versus what Siempe did.
And we know he's not going to find much of anything at Pyramid Ferry. There's one item for Siempe here in Swamp Palace. That is an arrow upgrade. Not what they want to see. So that is 1 out of 5, or 1 out of 6, 5 more to go.
And they are deciding to go left, and does not drown down the key. So good job. You do that once, you never do it again. It is really aggravating.
No, I've done it at least 3 times. So that's all I have to say.
I know, I've done it. I've done it twice. Though they did make it a little bit less aggravating in this most recent version by requiring you just to leave the dungeon and go back in, so it only resets that one room instead of having to do a screen transition away and resetting the whole dungeon. So they made it not as painful, but it is still very, very annoying.
Alright, so Shadow looks like he's gonna make a play on Mire?
Ooh, all right. So again, this is like one of those things. This could be a very big play. If Kane is in here, that might be a bad thing, because that'll push him up to Turtle Rock before Pod, probably.
Yeah, because he is gonna have to find those flippers before he can be in go mode. So yeah, if the Kane is in its vanilla dungeon here, you got a point. That could be bad for Shadow.
Yeah, that could be bad for him. You almost hope that it's not for his sake, just because it'll lead him further away from those flippers.
All right, and there is one item on the left side of Swamp Palace, showing why you don't want to. Sometimes you don't want to skip it. And there is the big key on Swamp Palace. So if there is something in the big chest, that means 2 items aggregate for the left side.
And it definitely would have been the better decision to go this way, simply in this routing, if we don't find Kane in the back half, because there could still be an item there. It's one of those things. There's really no right way. I submit to that. I love going left side first, just because I'm kind of a completionist, and it's a problem in these races. But we get the silvers out of the big chest in Swamp, so that is a nice pickup for sure. Not required, but nice.
Absolutely. There is never a time when somebody would turn down the silver arrows, if they're readily available.
Indeed, and those were pretty readily available.
Yeah. Shadow, going through Mire here, I have not seen any yet that would indicate that he made the right choice. There's the big key. Nice to have that early, but when you're having to full clear Mire, that doesn't really matter as much.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost where you're looking for the cane. You're hoping not to find the big key, because if your opponent decides not to do Mire first and gets the cane coming in later, they can't just go through it faster. It's kind of one of those things like, kind of wish I didn't find that so quickly.
All right, there's the map. So Argus is, I believe, yes, Argus is holding an item. So kind of last chance saloon on whether or not Swamp Palace was the correct play here. There's Book of Mudora in Misery Mire. Can you imagine the chaos if Kane of Samaria is sitting on a tablet?
Oh man, and still, yet again, that opens up pedestal. Does he do a ped check before going anywhere else? If he does, and it's the cane, then he knows exactly what he needs to do, and that gives him an advantage over Siempe.
All right, so we'll see what happens after Mire here. Siempe taking down Argus here. So nice to have Tempered or Butter Sword on Argus, so you don't have to either hit twice with the Master Sword or fight the menu boss and have to use the hammer on those puffballs.
Menu boss is a joy. Depending on what items you have in that menu, it can be a real pain.
Siempe gotta be careful here. He's getting dunked on by Argus there. Got hit twice, but all right, he's good. And that is it. All 6 items in Swamp Palace. No progression. This could end up helping out Shadow if he waits to go to Swamp Palace when he's in Go mode. You can complete Swamp Palace very fast in Go mode.
Yes, indeed, as we get both of our items out of Misery Mire and no cane. Now, the one advantage that Siempe will have had for full clearing Swamp Palace is getting those silvers. If Shadow goes in Go mode, he will not be getting those.
All right, so this race continues to be interesting. The not only with the item layout itself, but the way that our individual runners' routing has taken them in different directions here. Siempe going to check Lake Hylia Island. That is 50 rupees on Lake Hylia Island, and it is now time to check the hobo. Meanwhile, Shadow, armed with the Book of Mudora, may be conducting the incredibly hype pedestal check. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. It is pedestal check time. What is on the pedestal this race? Shadow just needs to menu to the book, and we have just couch cash on the pedestal. The pedestal dream is dead. Piece of heart at the hobo. Now I'll let you have a word in edgewise, Bradley.
Oh man, I was getting so hyped. Oh, you got that so hyped up. Unfortunately, nothing there. That was enjoyable though. All right, so we do know that the ped dream is dead. However, that does not eliminate having to kill maybe Cold Stare. That could be on the green pendant. And it looks like Siempe is heading in. No, he's going up to Zora. I don't think he's done the Zora checks.
So it looks like Shadow is going to make the pod play, so he will almost certainly find the flippers here. The question is, does Shadow continue through pod, and does pod hold that elusive go mode item, an item that I kind of like?
Yeah, it's exciting that it's the go mode item, I'm not going to lie. All right, so Siempe is going to finish his traverse through the Zora area. Meanwhile, Shadow's going to go in, and we're going to find out if he decides to stay in or nopes out to Swamp Palace.
Yeah, again, that's one of those decisions that you can't fault Siempe for making. It can be the difference between victory and defeat, depending on the item layouts. But we will see if Shadow makes the same calculus here. Meanwhile, Siempe is going to get his lesson in 1% interest from Zora here, and let's see where Siempe goes from here. You see, at this point, he could go ice.
Does he go ice or does he go back into pod? He's gonna likely flipper or flute away from the house, and where he goes will be determinant of which of those two dungeons he heads to. We'll have to see where he flutes to.
And ladies and gentlemen, in pod, that's gotta be Kane.
Oh my gosh!
Oh no!
Pod! Oh, Siempe!
And here's the kicker about that. He had access to that chest when he noped out.
So early on, and because he went right first, oh man, that is very unfortunate for Siempe. That is really, that could very well be game right there. That decision, you called it earlier, like whether you stay or not, like sometimes staying is the right decision, sometimes leaving is. And Shadow's going to be getting his flippers here very shortly, and will be in go mode.
Yeah. So wow. So in, I guess at about 1:33, Shadow will enter go mode here with 3 dungeons to clear. You've got to think as soon as he finds those flippers, it is nope time.
Oh, there would be absolutely no reason to stay in pod. Maybe like a slight pause, be like, am I actually in go mode? But this is it right here. There is go mode for Shadow, and he nopes right on out of there. He will not be getting silvers.
No. Unless we see a very odd choice in Swamp Palace, but it's kind of a runner's dream when you can go mode clear either Swamp or Ice Palace. And since Ice Palace is not going to be required at all, go mode Swamp Palace, nice consolation prize.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That is, being able, like you said, being able to go mode either of those is just a treat. Shadow, unfortunately, is only able to fill one of his bottles up with blue goo, and that is it, as he is running low on rupees.
That darn purveyor extraordinaire of life lessons, if he had not struck, Shadow would be able to afford more potions at this time.
Yes, indeed.
You got to think the correct routing choice here is finish up Mire, head over to Swamp with a go mode clear, on up to Turtle Rock, and off to make some pork barbecue.
Yeah, and with Buttersword, even though the final phase is a slightly arduous journey, he will be able to go right through those first 3 phases extremely fast, and the silvers won't make up a ton of time. We'll have to see how comfortable Shadow is with the silverless strats, though.
Yeah, and one thing in his favor here is having half magic and the cape. That can ensure that you take no damage during the first few phases of Ganon, and making it significantly easier and less of a need to use safeties, even if all you have is green mail.
Yeah, that is a good point. And we still only have the green mail, and fully upgraded on the sword and the shield, but have not seen a single mail upgrade.
Nope, none whatsoever. Siempe in a bit of danger here in Misery Mire. Getting low on hearts. Now, Siempe does have potions, I guess, knowing that only has enough money to buy one more potion at this point, probably doesn't want to have to use them just yet.
Yeah, definitely want to try to save those for, the end game on Ganon's. Well, he does have silvers and butter, so it won't be as crucial for him to have those potions, but you never want to use them. Even if you have them, you don't want to use them because it takes time.
Right. It takes time, and, it's, if I use it now, is it going to come back to haunt me later?
And that's exactly it. Oh, but the clutch heart piece refill.
I'd rather be lucky than good any day. I'll say it again.
Indeed.
But ladies and gentlemen, do not in any way think that this race is over right now. We have both of our runners take a couple deaths, and Ganon's Tower, relatively unforgiving, particularly if you have the green mail. So this is still... There's still a chance that this is anybody's game, even though at this point, objectively, Shadow has a distinct advantage.
Yeah, and, the big thing here is if Siempe goes back into pod and gets that Cane of Samaria, he'll have already completed Swamp Palace, and so that'll help negate a lot of that advantage that Shadow has. But getting that book is probably going to slow that down a little bit. He's going to check a lot of the book locations before going back into pod, and maybe even do Ice Palace before as well.
We'll see if Siempe decides to do a pedestal check at this point. Looks like he is headed over to 3, while Shadow picks up his crystal off of Vidi, and about to see a go mode Swamp Palace, if my guess is correct, and probably a pretty good guess.
Yeah, I would say it's a pretty highly educated guess. I would be really shocked if Shadow checks anything beyond maybe the chest just south of the big chest. It's not too terribly far to go out of the way, and if it is something like silvers, it could be huge. We know it's not, but he doesn't know that, and so it wouldn't be a bad check, but I definitely would be surprised if he goes left.
Yeah. That's exactly where Shadow is headed, is over to Swamp Palace. Siempe about to be very disappointed that the pedestal is just couch cash.
Disappointed or relieved knowing that maybe your decision to leave pod wasn't terrible at what he'd be thinking at this point. We know it was, but not for the full clear aspect.
Interesting point from the chat is that Shadow, if he's not comfortable having only the green mail here, it's possible he might clear out Swamp Palace hoping for a mail upgrade. That's certainly a possibility, but I don't know if Shadow at this point would make that choice, maybe hoping for a mail upgrade in Ganon's Tower. Siempe going to head back into Thieves Town. I can't say I really blame him here, because that was one thought that we had before, that what if the cane had been in this chest here in Thieves Town, but this is just going to cost Siempe time.
Yeah, unfortunately, we know it's not going to yield anything of major value. Could be a mail upgrade, and that's really about it. That would help him. Maybe the powder. Shadow is checking a couple of chests, whether that's for a mail upgrade or hoping to find silvers on the way. We don't know how comfortable he is with silverless Ganon strats. That could be another thing, not only on top of needing the extra defense.
So we will see if Shadow does end up with a basically full kit going on to Ganon, that being Butter Sword and Silver Arrows, along with, of course, the Riot Shield, but the Riot Shield doesn't really affect the Ganon fight. The only thing you'd be lacking would be a mail upgrade, as we've talked about a couple times here so far.
Yeah, and as is pointed out in chat, a Ganon Hug does 8 hearts of damage in green health. That is a significant amount of damage, whereas it's only 4 in blue mail, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
So that simple upgrade is a major help for our runners. And so he's only checking the 1, though. He's going straight to the back and not going to be getting those silvers.
All right, so we'll see how comfortable Shadow is with silver strats. It's one of those things that at first seems very daunting, but once you learn the fight, there is a rhythm to the silverless Ganon fight where it becomes, I'm not going to say trivial, but not terribly difficult whatsoever. But it does take a significant amount of practice if you haven't done it before.
That is very true. And then with having the butter, the first phases will be very easy. So he'll be able to save most of his magic for that final phase. And if he gets the torch glitch, which is very crucial, one of the most important parts of Silverless, that's what you want to find, or that's what you got to get, is that torch glitch will make it a lot easier.
The Shadow is checking everything. He's just not going left side. And, in the long run, probably won't matter, but man, that would have been, it's always nice going into Ganon with both butter and silvers,
It doesn't happen often, and so when it does, it's just something you want to cherish. All right, so Siempe finishing up, and he is going into Ice Palace, and this is unfortunately going to put him even further behind.
Yeah, I think at this point, because he is almost assuredly going to full clear Ice Palace, and I think at this point, it's going to take a relative miracle for Siempe to be able to win this one.
Now, even if this is his first time ever attempting a silverless Ganon fight, it's going to be a long uphill battle for Siempe to get back in this, because he's going to full clear this, turn in that green pendant, and then head to pod. That's a good 5-6 minutes of time.
Yeah. Again, you can kind of understand what's going through Siempe's mind here, is that he already dipped into pod once and found progression, right? He found the flippers. So what are the odds that pod has 2 progression items? I definitely see why somebody would make this decision. It's just unfortunate that at this time it is the wrong decision.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate. And like you said, from his perspective, it makes perfect sense. In my race just last week, I dipped into pod, I got hook shot, I got silvers, and I think I got a sword upgrade, and I was like, okay, this is great. I'm not going to dip into Pendant Ice Palace as well, which ended up having my Cane of Samaria and I think another progression item. So it's just, it's one of those things, 2 pendant dungeons having a ton of items, whereas in this case, 1 pendant had it all.
Yeah.
If it had been this had been my seed last week, I would have had a really good decision because I would have been able to avoid Ice Palace, but and Siempe would have had a really good decision having done what he did. So it's just kind of the way Rando works.
Absolutely. The Shadows heading up to Trock here, and maybe we'll finally see a mail upgrade.
Yeah, there's definitely a good chance. Maybe we'll find that powder, which will help counter some of the fact that they're only on green mail, be able to keep refilling your hearts all the way through Turtle Rock and also Ganon's Tower.
So Siempe here opting not to do the Ice Palace bomb jump, which in some circumstances doesn't actually save too terribly much time, but here he's likely going to be full clearing the dungeon, did not find an early key, and does not have the Cane of Samaria, so not bomb jumping is actually going to lose some time here.
Yeah, we'll not be able to get that block down on that to get the cold stare fight easily. So might have to do it later after checking the chests. Imagine we'll see him full clear because it is that green pendant, even if he finds all 3 items.
Yep. Well, there's 2 of them right there for a total of 21 rupees and 2 items in Ice Palace. There is only 1 unique item left here, so Siempe's got to not be liking his chances here. Of course, we know that his chances of finding progression are 0. But
he's definitely got to be sweating it a little bit right now as Shadow finds the big key in the first chest of Turtle Rock. Wow.
Now, Shadow remembering, wait a minute, I need keys to move forward here.
Remembering at least relatively quickly.
There will definitely be at least one key in the next room here that has 2 treasure chests. We'll see what is in the other. As Siempe making his way through the Ice Palace. We've got a map, and we've got a key.
Well, there's our key to continue on, and then continue going through the dungeon. Now, does Shadow continue opening chests on his way? He went out of his way to open one in Swamp and open everything on his way as well. So I imagine he'll be opening pretty much every chest along his way, hoping for silvers or a Mel upgrade. Probably mostly silvers, would be my guess.
Yeah, silvers being the thing that saves the most time on the Ganon fight. Obviously, there is a big 20 for Siempe. He has found all 3 items in Ice Palace now, but like you mentioned, he's probably going to full clear, simple virtue of the fact that this dungeon is the Green Pendant, and he does not know that the key to his salvation lies in Pod.
Yeah, and one of the earliest chests you can check too, unfortunately, his decision to go right side with that bow before going straight was the big decision, as Shadow went straight first, got that Cane of Samaria, and Flippers were his go mode item.
You got to think, though, if he had gone the other way first, he would have found Cane first and probably still noped out.
Yeah, that is a very valid point as well.
Now, Siempe opting not to complete Ice Palace here, and nopes out. Says, "Yeah, I can't take the chance on the Green Pendant right now." As just pointing out, Ice Palace is cane locked. Not certain that's the case.
You can always go and do the bomb jump, and it would be able to finish it, but this is good that he's getting out of there. We know that he needs to not be in there, but it looks like he's going to be checking the Bombos tablet.
Not a bad decision whatsoever. And there is finally, we have found the banana hat here in Turtle Rock. Shadow grabbing the item there, which the best thing that could have happened there was a key for a key, because he already had the key from the pokey there. Didn't have to check that chest at all, but now he's almost certainly going to... The other key's almost certainly going to be on Laser Bridge now.
Yes, indeed, as we get just a 5-bomb upgrade from Bombo's tablet, not even the other Mel upgrade that could at least been some type of consolation prize for Siempe. And he's heading up to check Ether tablet, it looks like.
Again, not a terrible decision, but we have the advantage of knowing that it's not the right one.
Yeah, he's just checking all of the things before going back into Pod. He might be thinking at this point, please, anything but Pod, because he knows that since he left, that would spell doom.
All right, so Shadow is going to go ahead and check Mimic Cave. Got to be thinking he is looking for those pig stickers, the silver arrows.
That is quite unfortunate. He is spending the extra time in the wrong locations.
If that had been Red Mill, that might have been something, but that's about the only thing left that's going to help Shadow at this point. Well, as you mentioned earlier, the powder is a nice safety.
Yeah, it is definitely my favorite safety item. I love and maybe overuse that powder, but it is so nice, especially if you were only in Green Mel. Turtle Rock and Ganon's Tower just do so much damage, even in Blue Mel.
Yeah. All right, so where is Siempe going now? Go east. Go east, young man.
Well, he is going in the right direction so far. Didn't take the right flute spot, but that's not entirely wrong. It's just he's probably just kind of in a panic at this point. I gotta imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe he's probably checking catfish before going into pod.
Oh man, you hate to see stuff like this happen.
I know, especially with how close the race was for so long. It's unfortunate thing about randomizer. One small decision can just take a minutes difference race, seconds even, into a 10-minute, 20-minute different race.
Yeah. All right. As predicted, there will be a key on Laser Bridge. Let's see how many attempts it takes Shadow to find it. Is Shadow going to take the safety here? He is. Only 3 hearts here, so in the event that there's a death on Trinex or here on Laser Bridge, he will restart right here. So not a terrible decision here if you're not confident in your Trinex fight. And there's the powder on Catfish.
Okay, so I was wrong. I thought I saw Shadow head up to Catfish. He did not. So powder is found. Again, nice safety, but not what Siempe wants.
Right. But another heart certainly doesn't help there on Laser, or doesn't hurt. There are 2 hearts on Laser Bridge. Very nice.
Yeah, very nice. Help him get some of that health back right before heading into Trinex.
So Siempe gonna check the bat here. It's everything he's doing here is just taking him farther and farther away from where he needs to go. Again, there's the thought of I was already in pod and I found progression. Why would I expect 2 to be in there? Yeah, the frustration slashes have begun.
Yes, indeed. I think he's realized that pod is where he has to go at this point, which at least he'll be able to find it quickly. It's should be one of the first locations that he checks.
Alright, Siempe is going to take down both of Trinex's auxiliary heads. No lag being spread on the ground. Let's see if he can get the double hit with the spin here and get the quick kill on Trinex's second form. He does not, but he's got Butter Sword, so it doesn't make much of a difference there.
Gets a relatively quick kill. Most of the rock monster snake thing was still on the wall, so very well done with that. And you know what? I believe that is a 7th crystal for Shadow.
What does that mean, Bradley?
Well, you see, there's this game we like to play here on Speed Gaming where there's 22 locations that a particular key can be for Ganon's Tower. Put your guesses in from 1 to 22. Closest guess to that number will get to be on the leaderboard. It's always fun to do. Myself, I like to do the top left room in the randomizer room, or 17 if they go right side after getting the 4 chests, then going left.
Well, Siempe has just found his go mode item. That's gotta be Kane for Siempe. He's in go mode. Frustration slashes. Bombos. He knows that he is in trouble here. Shadow is interesting. Shadow has opened Ganon's Tower, is going to mirror out and check the Bombos tablet in the hopes of silver arrows.
He really must not be comfortable with silverless strats. So, this could get really interesting. If this is something that he struggles with a lot, it might give Shadow a chance to get back in.
That is possible here. I mean, again, as we discussed earlier, silverless Ganon, not the easiest thing in the world to do, particularly if you have only done it once or twice. But once practiced, not that difficult, but can certainly understand wanting to avoid that, particularly in a tournament race like this. So Shadow does find a key, but he is going to go left side. So 1 and 2, not the right answers.
Nor is 3, as we get 5 rupees on there, and Bob will live today.
Bob lives. Everyone likes Bob. Meanwhile, Siempe making his way through Misery Mire. And remember that this is a double dip for Siempe. Both of our runners did double dip Misery Mire, just looking for that big red cane.
Well, there we have red mail.
All right, so eggplant hat for Shadow. That's got to be boosting his confidence right now. Now he has the red mail. He's got full kit minus silvers. He's got to be happy about that.
Yeah. Again, we don't. He's likely was looking for silvers. I imagine he felt a lot better about getting the blue mail, but not having those silvers. It's kind of curious. So many people bring up a point in chat. What if he nopes out of the Ganon fight as soon as he finds out where silvers are, and he goes looking for them? And that, depending on how much time behind Siempe is at that point, that could be, that could bring this race really close.
That is entirely possible because Siempe has already found the silver arrows. Meanwhile, we are about to check chest number 9 here. So if you guessed 1 through 8, you chose poorly.
So poorly.
And there's chest number 9. It is triple booms. We are going over to the randomizer room. Bradley, your prediction could have come true here.
Not the number, because he wasn't able to go right side at all, but top left. That's what my guess is. I like to say location because I get to talk.
Well, I got to say number 13, which would be the last chest here in randomizer room. So there's top left. You are wrong, my commentator.
And you are wrong yourself.
All right. Well, hey, if you got to be wrong, it's good to be wrong together, right?
Exactly. Meanwhile, Siempe has got the kill with Vitreous, and will be moving on to Turtle Rock. So they're heading into their final dungeon very shortly.
Right, Shadow getting the bonk over the teleporter there. Nicely done. And it could be Armos Knights that hold the big key, or, Bob could be guarding the big key.
Yeah, it could be Tile Room even at this point. You know what? We're getting low on the locations.
And nope, it is not Bob.
Nope, Siempe getting some last magic potion fill-ups. Shadow, unfortunately, without those silvers, this fight a little bit harder. He did not have the cleanest of fights on the regular Armos, but he is doing great this time on the ice. Give him a little bit more of a challenge and he'll nail the boss fights. That's what's going on here.
Yeah. And he did have 61 arrows as well. So.
That's beneficial.
Yeah. All right. And it looks like the big key is going to be on right side, boys and girls.
Right side for the big key. So there are, 5 locations left that it could be. That is Tile Room and the 4 in the Vanilla Compass Room. So we're at 16. That was 16, correct?
That was... Yes.
No,
correct.
Because we got 17, 18, 19, 20. No, that was 17. So yeah. we're the next, if he does Tile Room right now, it would be, and he's not, okay, so it's not. So the next 4 will be 17, 18, 19, no, 18, 19, 20, and 21.
20 and 21. Yeah, remember, I'm a lawyer and I can't do math. Yeah.
I'm a broadcast media major because I can't do math either.
Hey, so there we go. Yes, we see some of us have voices for radio. Some of us have faces for radio. Some of us have both.
Hopefully I have both, because it's kind of what I'm going into. I don't know. There it is!
There it is.
That was 18, I believe, correct?
That is correct. The big key found at number 18. So if you guessed 18, we're about to find out here. And Stigma of the Rose was the closest guess from a sub or supporter at 19. So GG's to Stigma of the Rose.
Yeah, very well done. GG's, and we'll go ahead and end it, see where you rank on the leaderboard. That's right, it's save, not end.
Yeah. That may need to be you, Bradley, because it doesn't seem like it worked for me.
Did it work? Uh-oh. Did I break it? I probably broke it. I don't know.
I don't know. At any rate, Shadow heading up Ganon's tower now after finding the big key. Obviously, you want to go through as fast as you can, but if Shadow only knew.
Yeah, that is indeed true.
All right, it is gauntlet time. So call this the gauntlet. These couple of rooms here, single room, one room square. Gotta kill all the enemies. And sword beams not being very helpful there for Shadow. Remember that sword beams only do Fisher-Price sword damage, so...
Yeah, definitely nice not to have that thing there. And, there's only a few times where the sword beams are really beneficial, so taking one hit like he just did will really make this go a little bit cleaner, because you don't have to worry about accidentally using sword beams.
Nice. That room with the two red horse heads there goes down very quick for Shadow. Shadow gets it's teased a little bit by the stall child, and all right, he's gonna make it out of here with a pretty good amount of health. Does not have the powder to powder that bunny beam, but yeah, the bot doesn't like either one of us, Bradley.
Yeah, I did the exclamation point end, and it did a laughing face at me, and it has stopped working since. I ended its life, apparently.
Might have been the command to close the bot. I have no idea. At any rate, Shadow does take down Lanmose too. And so it is on the way up to the Wizrobe rooms. Use the best item in the game, the Cane of Samaria, to take out some enemies here. It does fall in that first Wizrobe room, but he's gonna have to take a 2 cycle there. All right, we have fixed the bot. That is wonderful. Stigma of the Rose, you actually get some credit here, as Shadow is taking kind of the long way through the, I guess you call it the treadmill room.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, Zunker to the rescue, living up to his name there.
Indeed. Zunker to the rescue, to the rescue.
Yes, indeed. All right. So, Shadow, moving on past the first torch room onto the second one. We'll get this magic refilled. Does not have that powder, so we'll not be able to utilize the anti-fairies and get a nice little heart refill before heading into Moldorm 2. but he's got a pretty decent amount of health at this point, though.
Yeah, let's see what he does here about these next. Yeah, he's gonna check the. He's gonna check the chests here. He's got to be looking for silvers.
I really cannot imagine there's anything else that Shadow is looking for at this point. I mean, maybe powder, but that would be kind of silly.
So he's only got 2 more chests to check here. One in this next room and one after Moldorm 2. So.
Now, this is where all the money is. Ganon, he is a terrible overlord, and he just took all the money from Hyrule.
Well, he was a thief, so...
This is true. But as we inch ever closer to Shadow going up against Ganon with those serverless, we'll find out how comfortable he is very shortly. But Siempe is on to the Trinix fight and going through it relatively quickly. Just got to get the last few slashes on the main body, and there he goes, getting the kill and his 7th crystal.
Alright, so we will see what Shadow does. Gets to Ganon. But Siempe will be moving on to Ganon's tower. So, really the difference in this game is simply Ganon's tower.
Yes, indeed. A Shadow gets a triple!
Nice.
That was beautiful. And get to sing on the next one, just a couple more hits, and he'll be on to the big pig. That would have been another triple right there. He had that set up beautifully.
Very nicely done by Shadow. That was extraordinary on Ganon 2 fight. So he is headed to the pig. It is barbecue time in Hyrule.
Yes, indeed. Now the moment of truth for Shadow is how comfortable is this? This could be a major point. As Shadow is heading into Ganon, Siempe is heading into the tower. Does he go right side first, or does he go left? This could help make up some of that time. I guess really he has to go left initially, but does he go back right? Does he do that Dark Magician strats?
I believe there's a key in one of the first 2 chests.
Oh, there was.
Yeah. So you may go right immediately here.
Nope, decides to go left. And meanwhile, Shadow is blazing through the phases with that butter sword.
It's like butter.
It really is. Alright, so 2 more slashes for Shadow to push into phase 4 and onto the final phase without silvers. Then he will be told shortly where those silver arrows are.
Yeah, it is one of the nifty little things about the randomizer is that they did add a... There it is. Did you find the arrows in Swamp Palace? And now Shadow is saying, darn it! I checked everything but left side. Okay,
yes, indeed.
Shadow lining up silverless. Really nice, but no, he falls!
Okay, so he did get the torch glitch, had a great start, but falls there. Now, this is the moment. Does he make that decision? He knows they're in swamp. He knows it's got to be left side because he did everything else. Or does he just go, does he feel like he's behind and he just needs to go for it? He gets a lucky fairy so he can get a full health refill before going up, and he's going right back in. He is going silverless.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like before he fell there, it had the look of somebody who was comfortable doing silverless.
Which not necessarily needing the silvers, but anybody would want them if you can get them on their way. Obviously more comfortable with them, but definitely looked like he knew what he was doing on the serverless fight. All right, so Shadow, round number 2 against Ganon, does a really good job just getting in there, using the hookshot to really good job to get it, avoid those fires, and on to phase 3 once again. So we'll be getting shortly to that phase 4 and his attempt number 2 at silverless.
Yeah. The butter making it easy, and love having that hook shot to take advantage of the fact that while that hook shot is out, you are completely invincible.
Yes, indeed. And sometimes I can come back to bite you because you cannot move while you're in there either. So things can fall on you
True.
after your invulnerability state.
True.
Ganon not playing nice with the teleports this time, but he gets the 4th hit and pushes to phase 4. He's going to get that torch glitch. Yes, he does. Gets it again.
Like I said, this looks like somebody who has done Silverless a couple times.
Yeah, very well done. Gets 2 on that cycle. Will he get 2 on this one? Nope. Got hit by that fire bat that time.
Slow and steady here, though. One of the advanced strats for Silverless Ganon fight is if you do get the torch glitch and light the torch with the fire rod while you are charging a spin slash, you can actually get 3 hits per cycle.
Yeah, that is very hard to do, and it is extremely aggressive, but very possible. Shadow taking the slow and steady route, as you pointed out. He does not want to fall again. He wants to get this kill. I think he's over halfway on his hits. He's been doing very well, getting almost 2 every time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Siempe has got the left side finished and is heading to the right side. We'll be getting their big key very shortly.
Got to be the last hit or 2 right here. There it is. Ganon is down. The big pig is dead. Barbecue for everybody. GG's to ShadowB5. In just a second, we will have his official speedracing.tv time. As soon as he walks into the room, official time of 2 hours, 10 minutes, 56 seconds. Congratulations to ShadowB5, who improves to 1-3 in this tournament.
Yeah, GG's and congratulations on getting that win under your belt. It's very well done on that Silverless arrows strats there. Very, very slow, steady, but really very clean. Very almost makes you wonder how why he was wanting those silvers so badly, it seemed like. But very well done for Shadow, once again getting that victory, going to 1-3.
Yeah, I was... Given how well he executed Silverless, I'm surprised that it appeared that he was looking so hard for the silver arrows, because he just knocked that out of the park. I mean, anybody can fall once.
Yeah, I agree. Like his rhythm, he had a really good rhythm. You talked about that earlier, like where it's so important to have a rhythm going into those Silverless shots, and he had a really good rhythm going, and he really seemed comfortable doing it. So definitely lends to a curiousness as to why he was looking so hardly for those silvers.
Meanwhile, Siempe is making it up the gauntlet here, having found the big key.
And he will be able to do one-shot these Goraias or these mimics, excuse me, with those silvers. It makes it a lot easier. Takes advantage of the pull to make him think that he's moving, but he goes on and gets a nice full magic drop there to refill his magic.
I have always thought that those are the Goraias from the original Legend of Zelda, but I know they're mimics, but they look so much like the Goraias.
And it's very easy to confuse them, and there's so many enemies in these games. It's really hard to keep track of the actual name of them. Like, I don't even know if mimics is the real name. It's just they mimic you, so it makes perfect sense.
All right, we are attempting to get a hold of our victor, ShadowB5. We'll let you know if we can get a hold of our victor for an interview, but until then, let's go ahead and cheer on Siempe89 here. I have to... Yes, Siempe has already given a GG to his opponent, so he knows that he has lost. So kudos to Siempe for not giving up and finishing this race. It's a lot of times it's easy to forfeit when your opponent dot-duns, but if you're already in Ganon's tower, let's just go ahead and finish it. And Raspberry Floof, our tracker, who, by the way, shout-outs to Raspberry Floof for doing our tracking in this race. Flawless tracking, and we very much appreciate it. But Raspberry Floof has confirmed that the mimics are Gorias.
Well, there you have it. So they are Gorias, indeed. So, going back to what you said, Siempe continuing on through, it can be, at this point, he knows he's now 0-4, for sure eliminated from the bracket stages, unfortunately, but he's going to be going on. He's still, doing the race, giving everybody the show, the big thing is, there's always practice. Like, in Ganon's tower, it's one of those things where there's not a lot of difference to strategy. You might have some slightly different gear, make things easier or harder, but it's never a bad idea to continue going through Ganon's tower and get that practice, get better at the game, and hope to improve and get your wins under and different things like that. So again, like you said, props to Siempe for continuing on.
So it looks like ShadowB5 is not going to be able to join us for an interview. I've invited him to join the chat over here so we can all shower him with praise for winning this race. We'll check out Shadow's stats here. Obviously, the stats do have the important stuff, so we know what's going on there. But Siempe made it through the gauntlet. It is torch room number 1 time. And also opts to use the lamp. Oh, that could cost him. That is, he does know that you can walk out of this room to the left and reset the torches. So that's helpful.
Yeah, very, very smart. Realizing that he'd fallen off there, would not have been able to, likely not been able to get the torches all lit at the same time. Instead of wasting the time and the magic, just nopes on out of the room and resets it. And because he's got the half magic, he should be fine moving on up into this one, and will be able to get the magic refill later on, right before Moldorm 2, as well as, since he's got that magic powder, the fairies.
So what is Siempe searching for here?
Where he knows he's lost already, he might be. He didn't get the red mail. He didn't go all the way left on Ganon, did not get that red mail. Maybe he's also just putting on a little show, just checking everything, seeing what everything else is in the game. He's pretty well geared otherwise, though. I mean, all he's missing is that red mail.
Oh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind everybody that this is just the beginning of the matches that we have going on right now, and going on for the rest of the day here on Speed Gaming and the Speed Gaming family of channels. At 2 p.m., actually, that actually started just a few minutes ago. I stand corrected. But on Speed Gaming 5, Bentisi versus Smite is going on at 3 p.m. Eastern. We have Phoenix Down versus Alders on Speed Gaming OG, the original Speed Gaming channel. Also at 3 p.m., we have Zenobian versus Mernco on Speed Gaming 3, The Trace. At 4 p.m., Swerb versus Lewd Dolphin right here on Speed Gaming 4. At 5 p.m., Gazellshaft versus Ice Blue on Speed Gaming 5. This is just today, guys, and this is just the matches that we have confirmed restreams for right now. Check out the schedule for all of your 2018 Legend of Zelda Link to the Past Spring Randomizer Tournament action as Siempe here taking on Aghanim 2.
Yeah, and does a fine job getting in. I believe he's got one more hit to get. There he goes, gets it. And as that happens, we do have Shadow Gaming in Twitch chat with us. So if you have any questions for him, he will be there to answer anything for you. One thing I do want to ask you, Shadow Gaming, is you looked like you were looking for silvers quite quite in depthly. But your execution on the Silverless was really good. Were you comfortable going into that, or is that something that you just wanted to be sure that you could make it easier? And of course, we'll be waiting for his response in Twitch chat. Meanwhile, Siempe drops in to fight the big pig, and will have Butter Sword and Silver should be able to go through here very easily. Took a hug, which, you know, that hurts. That hurts.
Hurts a lot, especially with only blue mail.
Absolutely ridiculous, Ganon. Stop hurting so much. And you know, the other enemy in the game that hurts almost as badly are those ridiculous chain chomps. Like, what are they even doing in this game? I don't understand that.
That's because Turtle Rock is the Super Mario dungeon. You've got lava, you've got the pokies, you've got the chain chomps, you've got the pipes.
I know, right? It is the Mario dungeon. Nintendo throwing props to their other games. Gotta, throw them in there as you can. Meanwhile, Siempe gets the third hit and one more slash on the big pig, and he will be heading into the final phase.
This will go much quicker than Shadows because Siempe does have those lovely silver arrows. There's the first hit on the pig. Now,
very wisely releasing his D-pad input to prevent himself from falling off there. Very well, very smart to do so.
Oh, the triple on Ganon!
Wow! Well done by Siempe. My goodness. Throwing a little bit of swag out on us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, if you're gonna lose your race, that is the way to end it, though, with and a nice swag fire rod dash to the Triforce room. Siempe finishes with an official speedracing.tv time of 2 hours, 20 minutes, 47 seconds. We will attempt to get our runners into the interview room. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to have to bow out at this moment due to the fact that it's almost 11 p.m. and I have to get up in 5.5 hours. So... Thank you, everybody. Yeah. Shout outs to Bradley. Absolutely a joy doing commentary with you. Raspberry Floof, thanks again for the tracker. GG's to our runners, ShadowB5 and Siempe89. I am Phantom Ryu, unfortunately signing off. Hope to see you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, have a good night, Ryu. Get some of that rest in, and we will see you the next time. All right. Meanwhile, Siempe has finished, as we pointed out, about a 10-minute difference. So GG's to Siempe. Unfortunately, does fall to 0-4. We'll be seeing about getting both runners in here for an interview. I was still working on trying to get Shadow going. Might be able to get Siempe in here in just a moment. But in the meantime, we pointed out we have a lot of races coming up. So when we are done here, definitely tune into those other races and see what there is to watch. And looking at that in the collection rate for Shadow, he got 167 out of the 216. Not bad. Did not have to go into Ice Palace at all, and did not have to do a whole lot of Palace of Darkness, and of course missed the left side of Swamp where those silvers were, unfortunately. But this is very well done race for Shadow. Did really good job on that silverless strats on Ganon, so was a joy to watch the race. As Rio pointed out, Raspberry Floof was on the tracker for us, and it was a very good race for both runners. Again, Shadow improving to 1-3, and Siempe unfortunately falling to 0-4. Of course, there are 3 more rounds of racing for both of these runners, so be sure to tune into their upcoming races. It will be a great race. I'm sure both runners will be able to put on. And if you enjoyed watching this show, please give our runners a follow. I know they would appreciate it. They have had a great time running for us. And you know what? It'll be a fun time I'm giving them a follow and being able to see what else they can put on for you. Unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to be able to get either of our runners working for an interview. So I'm going to go ahead and call it right now, and give once again GGs to both runners. A quick shout out to both of our runners, Siempe and Shadow. And once again, I've been Bredley. I was joined by Phantom Ryu, who had to leave slightly early, unfortunately. Tracker was Raspberry Floof, and all this was done through the Speed Gaming channels. Please give anybody a follow that you feel deserves it, and of course, the plenty of different channels. Actually, hold on one moment. It looks like we're going to be getting Siempe in here for a quick interview. And I believe we've got Siempe in here now. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you right now.
There we go. We got Siempe joining us. So real quick, how would quick thoughts on the seed there?
I think it started off pretty good until the stupid cane.
Yeah, and I mean, we obviously one of those decisions where you got the flippers that opened up swamp and you bounced out, were able to go straight and do that. You were able to get the silver arrows, which Shadow did not. As when he went into swamp, he had decided he actually went forward and got the cane first before going around and getting the flippers. So he was able to do pot in just a one go, and really that was the big difference, is your decision to bounce out. And it's one of those things where it's a gamble, and unfortunately this time it did not pay out for you.
Yeah, unfortunately this time, but maybe I should usually I check that chest before I leave, but yeah, just forgot to check it this time.
You got so excited that you were able to get some progression. I totally understand that. It's kind of when you're looking for those last items, it's easy to do. So I definitely don't blame you. But I did love the ending to your fight. You unfortunately did lose, but getting the triple on Ganon, well done. Very well done on that.
Well, thank you. I thought, well, my opponent is done, so yeah, let's finish in style.
And that you did. So so unfortunately, again, I did point out you are 0-4. You got 3 more races to go. How are you feeling about your remaining races? Going forward, you gonna just look for having more fun? You still looking to get a win? What are you thinking?
I'm just trying to have some more fun. It's a great game to play. I can recommend everybody who isn't playing it, and watching this really should try and play it. It's pretty hard to start, but once you learn it and know it, it will get a lot easier.
That is true. The more you play, the better it goes. And being random, there's always those times. Like, it's so hard to know if you're making a right decision or not until you find out. And unfortunately, more times than not in my situation, it works out against me. So I got to work on my decisions better, I guess.
Same for me, but the more you play, I think, then the better you'll get. So I should play some more, and hopefully I can get a win in the upcoming matches. But if I won't win, well, I still had a great tournament.
Yeah, indeed, and you definitely showed some good execution through a lot of the different seeds. Both of you had a really hard time in School Woods, unfortunately. 7 hearts, green mail. It can be pretty tough going through there. That Mothula fight can be pretty brutal. A couple of hits, and all of a sudden you're at 0 health, and it can go pretty rough.
Yeah, that's why I thought by myself, let's give it one try. If I die, then just leave and get back later. Hoping I would get the blue armor for earlier, but it didn't came till Ganon's Tower.
Yes, indeed. So, what were one last question? What were your thoughts when you finally did see the cane in Palace of Darkness?
Yeah, it was my only place left, so it had to be somewhere over there. I checked all the overworld locations, all dungeon items were checked. So, yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I knew it had to be there. So, yeah, just a stupid mistake.
Yeah, quite unfortunate. Your collection rate was still relatively low, only at 172, just 5 more than what Shadow had. And that's really probably those overworld locations that you were checking, hoping to find it before having to dip back into pod. But with that, we'll go ahead and call it. You have any last thoughts? You want to say anything before we close this out, Siempe?
Well, thank you guys for restreaming, for tracking, also for the commentary. I always enjoy it. And of course, everybody who is organizing the tournament, also a big thanks. They are doing a great job.
And there you have it. And once again, I'm going to put the links in for our runners. If you do want to give them a follow, I'll be able to get that right there. And I have been Bredley. I was joined by Phantom Ryu. Raspberry Floof was our tracker. This was hosted on Speed Gaming, Channel 4. Everybody, I hope you have a great night.